To duplicate the artboard, all you need to do is to come here. Now this will go through this very soon, but here is called this is called the selection tool. By default, that once you come into Photoshop, this is what is selected by default. So you click on this and wait a bit. You right click on it and hold. You right click and hold. Then it brings out this option. Then you choose Artboard 2. Once you have it selected, all of this option will come out. Now, if you just click this by if you just click this, it will create, you know what, let's click this now. If you click this way, it will create artboard this way. Okay, let me click it. You see, it's created a new artboard this way, and it's renaming artboard 1 by default. Or I can come back here, click here, with it still selected, or I click this place down here, it creates this place. But however, assuming, let's say I want to continue with the structure which I have with this design. I want to continue with the structure which I have here. So it doesn't make any sense for me to duplicate this and start from afresh, right? Rather, Control Z. Let me do Control Z on that. Rather, I want to duplicate the whole thing that I have here, the structure, everything I have here, in fact, then now built from there. So the way to go about that is that I hold Alt. Once I hold Alt and click, right? So once I hold Alt and clicked, so you can see it created the same thing. It duplicated this one. In fact, it renamed it to intro to the whether it's a mistake, intro to graph 2 copy. So after once that is done, by default, if I just click inside the artboard itself, it goes back to selection tool by default. Also, another way to launch the artboard tool without necessarily having to come up here is when you click at the edge of every artboard. Once I click here, it automatically initiates the artboard tool, and so it's prompting me, where do you want to duplicate this artboard? Is it left or right? And also it allows me to resize the artboard, so I can, as you can see, I'm resizing it. I can resize it to whatever size that I want. So by now it removes this one from the artboard. And yes, what this artboard does is that, let's say yeah, since I've resized this one now, okay, I'm click here. Since I've clicked here, this is outside. If I'm to save this, once I'm saving this, once I'm saving this, if I were to save this, right? Let's say I'm going to save, the very easier way to save your stuff, which for me works very much for me, is that I come here, I come to the artboard that I want to save. So I come to this artboard that I want to save, which is this intro 3 something copy, right? I click on it, I right click on it, I right click on it. So it gives me the option. There are options there. So there's quick export as PNG, right? There's quick export, because what this does allow me to do is that I select a specific artboard, I select a specific, sometimes even specific items to export. So once I have that, I say quick export as PNG. So it takes me to wherever I want to save it. So if I say, okay, let's say demo, let me just call it, let me name it demo 301. Yeah. So once I do that, and I go to, once I do that, and I go and look for it where I saved it. Yeah, once I do that and I come here to look for it where I saved it, you can see that this is what I have. Every other thing, so every other thing here, this like this tool here, this text here, they are all outside now. They are no longer part of it anymore. So you can see what is happening. You know, before they were formerly inside this. They were formerly inside this artboard. That's the big folder. Let's call it the big folder. They were formerly inside this big folder, inside this big group. But the very time I shrank, the very time I shrink or shrunk, yeah, the very time I shrunk this at the artboard, it removed it automatically. So if I were to still go back, okay, let me click here, let me initiate the artboard too, and extend this back, it will bring everything in. It will import every other thing that's including this. It will import it now. So you can see it has brought it. See, this is the text now. It has brought it inside this big folder called the intro, three intro MoGraph copy. Intro to graph tools copy. So in a nutshell, this is how this team behave. This is how it behaves. The artboard behaves in Photoshop, and we can look more into how the the layers behave also. Okay, let me yes, like why I could be working on, let's say I have all of this artboard here, right? I can be working, I can want to just focus on this one. So how what do I do? And I don't want all of these other ones disturbing me. The way to go about that is that I shine them. It means shine them. I make them invisible. That's I click on this eyeball. So it makes them invisible. It makes this one. No, this is the very one I want to work on. So it makes all this one invisible. So now I can focus. My attention cannot be on this one. So yeah, and to zoom in, you hold your Alt and your, if you are using a mouse, right, you scroll with your mouse too. If you just scroll, by default it goes up and down. But once you hold Alt, it zooms in by default. By default it goes up and down, but once you hold Alt as you are scrolling, it zooms in. But if you don't have the mouse, the way to go about that is that you press Control plus or Control minus to zoom in. So once I've zoomed in here, you can see now. Let's explore the how the layer is structured here. So remember, this is the one we are looking at. This is the canvas. This is the artboard that we are looking at. So I have the icon as the first item, right? So nothing is covering them because they are at the top, right? This is text too, right? Then I have this number 3. This number 3 is sitting on this other, what I call drop. All of those other things are just shape that I faded their opacity. Then you see the image here. So you can see how all of this works. So they work in hierarchy, they work in stacking order. Anyone you place above, anyone above will cover anyone under. So in a nutshell, this is the next thing we'll be looking at is the tools, the different tools in Photoshop.